How's it going, everyone? This is Dr. Hefe playing more Disco Elysium, and in the last episode, we ended up finally interrogating Titus Hardie, the prime suspect of the murder of the hanged man. And he basically confessed to doing it, although he said he and the rest of the Hardie boys, so 7 members, all did the murder at the same time. But Kim is thinking something is up. Something is definitely up. There's no way people just confess to a murder right away. And you know what? Kim is probably right. Something is up. And now we have to prove our authority to Titus.
Looks like the circus left town.
If you haven't seen the end of the last episode, I would say you should go see the end of the last episode. I would not wish to spoil what happens when you fail to establish your authority. I thought that authority and conceptualization were leading us down a good path. I feel like we failed. We failed. Either they failed us or we failed them. It's hard to tell with the voices in your head sometimes who is failing who, but there was some failure involved, and yeah, we're here now. We're here in a alternate timeline where we have not failed yet. Also, we won the physical standoff, so we have a little bit more of a chance to actually convince this guy. But you know what? We're just gonna take off. We're gonna spend some time. Hopefully we can get this thought to change from this -1 authority. Maybe we'll walk around, try and find some clothing that can increase our authority as well. Also, we got that, I believe the Pure Holodon. Where's our Pure Holodon? Is it a tool? It's a tool. It gives +2 to our psyche, so we can use that to really power up our authority. Power up our authority by doing drugs. We'll slurp that stuff right down in front of them and we'll feel the fire. Feel it in our bones. But yeah, let's take a look. What are we supposed to be doing? We could go get a reality lowdown. We're supposed to find some speed and sniff it. Good times. We have to send the victim's body to processing. So I'd like to do that after interviewing Titus, though, because I feel like I want Kim to back me up. Yeah, let's go try talking to Joyce again. Maybe we can spend some time trying to understand this reality. You know, it's really weird. It's kind of similar to, you know, this other reality that we're currently living in, where, you know, we got computers and internet and stuff, but let's try and understand the reality of Mr. Harry
Good.
Dubois.
What can I help you with?
Yo, I got some more questions
More
about
lessons in basic reality?
reality.
My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
Oh man. Okay. You know, what are the times?
These are
these disco times?
Unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Damn. What is this, Fight Club right here? We're men born out of the wrong generation. I'm completely murdering that quote, but you know what? Well, yeah, too late for what? Let's just move on with the game. That's the great thing about Let's Plays. Every time you make a statement that doesn't make any sense, or that you feel kind of like, oh, I could have said that better, you just click something on in the game and you have, it's all forgotten, unless you just continue talking about it for 30 seconds. So yeah, the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
You've got a predatory streak.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth.
Fair enough. Sorry for assuming that you would not be predatory because you appear as a woman. So fair enough.
The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Yeah, who got shot in the head?
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
That is crazy amount of people to die in a world revolution. Although this does remind me of, was it in Mao's great? I forget how many people died under Mao. There was some bad times, some definite bad times there.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
I wonder if an apocalypse cop counts as an anarchist. Nah, I feel like the two don't really intersect. It's snowing now, by the way.
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
2 million? But 40 million people got shot in the head. So 38 million of them were communists? That feels like some pretty bad odds for them. That is a definite kerfuffle.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it.
Got a deluge too in my head. I feel like we're just opening up to Joyce about everything. We've lost all ability to assert our authority here. She's just like, you've completely lost it, detective. Somehow you're still able to run down the drug ring that was coming out of the docks, but your connection to reality is completely gone.
Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse.
Thank you. Thank you. That's quite good. You know, if you're going to use big words, you should explain them.
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew.
And unceremonious? What does this word mean? Is that unbecoming of a king? To die by being thrown beneath a horse?
The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
I love that king. No, smart king. We're all about making money. We're a hustler.
Yes.
A street hustler.
King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down?
Ran
Anyway,
before it
Gil
went
got
down.
out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place.
Oh my goodness. Hey, how come we're not getting our ultra-liberal money from here? That's what I want to know.
Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Would you say it was a disco time? That seems kind of right. Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
Yeah? I'm one of you. I'm a liberal now. I would like all my money, please.
Liberals are usually middle-class people, detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
Bet on the revolution. Wait, wasn't the revolution the communist revolution? Well, I guess the liberals who stayed with the monarchy all got killed. And the liberals who stayed with the communists somehow did well enough to not get lumped in with the communists? I don't know. I don't really understand this history. I'm just trying to get a reality lowdown here.
They didn't win so much as survive.
Yeah, there you go.
We were the
guess
last
I was
ones
right.
standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
That's exactly what I was saying. The king's people got shot in the head, then the communists got shot in the head. Yeah, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
So that's our last group here. We have the communists, the fascists, which are the king people, the ultra-liberals, and then the moralists, which is the coalition, the moral intern. Yeah, but you just said that liberals took everything.
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people.
Damn. Gib Clay, please. Who are the
The
coalition?
Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There we go. We're getting a lowdown. This
The
is a pretty good
moralists
lowdown.
believe in keeping
Actually,
everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head.
she's explaining game mechanics in game. That's pretty awesome. Well done. Well done, developers.
At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
All right, the ones who give us the RCM are authority. Maybe we can get more authority from talking to her.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
They sound strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
No. I am definitely always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything. Then hell yes I am. And also not. No, we are an ultra-liberal.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
You know, that line, it's really it's really ironic considering what happened in the last episode. A statement about head shooting. So let's talk about the kerfuffle.
Turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
I thought Grad was part of the moralist, the moral intern.
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
That would make sense, that a pandemic would cause a ripe ability, a possibility to overthrow the government. It's not as if we have not seen similarities in the real world.
It made people overthrow their governments. Indeed, Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Damn. This came out in 2019, though. Not 2020. Pretty sure.
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
Okay, so it wasn't all those cities that she talked about before that had the revolution. There was only a couple places where it happened. Again, very similar to the... Well, I mean, obviously, like, this person who wrote the game lives in our world.
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
What is the zone of
A
control?
city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
Word of the day, interregnum. Interregnum, which I believe is people who reign in between the other reigns, like between the other kings. So maybe we'll go back to a monarchy one day.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
And then what happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-islary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
The aftermath. Yeah, we have seen the bullet holes in the buildings. Something about this apartment, right? We looked out towards the sea and saw that it was messed up. But we also found those old guns in the building. Yeah, like everything's all old and run down. Again, possible similar similarities to countries in the planet Earth.
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
What have we been doing all this time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
A decade of urban war? That sounds pretty bad. No wonder this place hasn't recovered in 43 years. There's just been constant war.
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing.
Our
For
ultra-liberal
the first
self is
time
really
in a
happy
long
about this
time,
largest
It
tax
seemed
haven.
like things were going somewhere.
And were they going somewhere? Wow, the weather here is really dynamic.
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are.
I mean, this sounds pretty disco. A market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing? Sounds like the current times, baby.
Welcome to reality.
Wow,
baby.
we've gotten... She said baby. Keep it disco, baby. She's keeping it disco. What would you... Wow, we're getting so many skill points. We should put all these into our authority so we can not have to deal with people getting shot in the head. What would you have done
Good
differently?
question. What would you have done differently?
Well, I'm a super ultra liberal, so I would have given myself all the money.
Your jaw clenches. Give the lady a taste of your wisdom.
I would have made off with the mineral rights. Yeah.
You and everyone else.
There's that money.
But that's got nothing to do with preventing the revolution. Oh, well. What was, I guess.
All right.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Wow, we have so many things that we can ask about. I want to know what you are. Let's let her think about it.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants.
Wow, that is quite a lot to be for a woman on a boat.
I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine. It's sharp.
Wow. This is some amazing interplay between the things in our brain. Cool, I liberate pretty hard myself. Oh boy. Wow.
No, not like me.
Thanks for the money.
I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp who pushed the king under a shipwagon and betrayed the revolution. Are you liberated enough to offer up your home on a plate for financial colonists? No, I think not. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
I mean, of course not. We're an ultra-liberal
In her green
ourselves.
eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
I forgive you, but only because you're charming. Oh, this is great.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. You are suddenly and intimately aware of it.
No, we cannot say this. This is not... As much as I would be very interested to see what she would respond. I mean, she would definitely laugh us off, as she has done to all of our weird forward things, like even trying to ask for money. We wouldn't say this. We are part of the radical, inexplicable feminist agenda. Why do I always call it a radical feminist agenda? It's the revolutionary feminist agenda. I'm always forgetting it. No. Vile devil.
I hope we're able to continue as friends, despite my scaly bulk and my intimidating liberal credentials. This was not the plan all along. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
I mean, being a survivor does give you a lot of power in a war-torn country. A lot more power than the dead have, that's for sure.
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
It's so interesting because we're playing in like this war-torn, destroyed area, and it's been destroyed for like 30 years. Again, there's been urban warfare and all that, but apparently in other parts of the city, like, all this modernity is going on because they're getting all the, it's like the financial districts and stuff. They're all reaping the rewards of the tax haven and the cocaine, whereas the people out here are still just, I don't know, they're scraping by.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Wow, I wasn't expecting this. She really doesn't like the moral intern.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Sure, we'll compliment her on this.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're a patriot? Yeah, let's question this, because she didn't really seem patriotic until this very point.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
I mean, that kind of is the point of patriotism.
Seditious talk, man.
You have daughters?
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother. And a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
I mean, good thing we did not do the wanna fuck option. I feel like as a mother and a wife, she would have turned us down flat. I mean, compare the portraits. Take some time to look at this portrait, this stately woman, and ourself. I mean, we're handsome. We are a devil ourselves, but probably of like some other infernal plane than she is. It's like the abyss versus the infernal planes. Anyway, there's some devils that don't mix. So, what is this?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Am I... What? I was asking her. I feel like now I'm confused. I meant, what is this place here?
Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot, or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see, and new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
Oh, they're definitely old if it's pre-revolutionary. That's over 40 years.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
We do have a map of that, right? Okay, something's going on with the edges of our map. They are getting all sorts of destroyed, the edges are. Feel like it took some pure holodon right now.
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Hey, you know, that is something to think about. When I'm sitting here, not in my high rise, I can just think, you know, when the revolution comes, those people up in the high rises, they're not going to be having a good time.
Splat, splat.
Man, Cindy the Skull is commenting from over here.
Wonderful.
How can she hear? That's amazing. What is that? We're gonna point to Cindy the Skull. That seems insulting. That's insulting. Alright, let's try this one. Maybe we'll be able to do it. Maybe we'll freak out. Who knows?
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
Okay, fair enough.
Glad to have been of assistance.
Alright, thank you. I feel like we got our reality lowdown today. It's pretty good. How close are we to getting this to finish? 1 hour and 1 minute. Do we have anyone else to talk to? Talk to Cindy the Skull. I feel like we talked to everyone in the tenement building. I'm just thinking how we can spend some time. We could try reading. We do have a book. Let's
The
interact with
front
it.
of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Okay, let's get some info about Friesel. We did just learn about Friesel. I believe he was the king who died, got thrown under a horse or in a river or something.
Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in accord with the natural world and, at the same time, above it.
I feel like I should have done an encyclopedia check for this. How did I know this?
A shameful way to treat a former king. Even one as underwhelming as Friesel.
All right, Endurance, don't get your fascism on here.
Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see.
Thank you for explaining satire to me. I appreciate it.
To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your
No.
attention.
No.
Just
they're making
column
fun
after
of
column
us.
of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white.
I'm reading the New Yorker.
After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections. International developments, Kunst und Kultur, and
Wow,
local
narrator.
concerns.
You
Just
put some work
inside
into
the
that
cover,
one.
there's also
Kunst
an
and
editor's note.
Kultur. Let's read the editor's note.
Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression,
Where do we
Du
get
cristal
this?
à la fumée. This
book
was
from?
his way of describing the way
Confused.
the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turned to smoke under communism.
Do I have an ultra-liberal comment I can say about
But,
this?
like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers.
Oh, maybe we got this from that communist room in the tenement building.
So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
Why would we freak out? Of course it's a communist magazine. It's literally what we saw on the cover. Don't worry, we're gonna play it cool.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The
Alright,
table of contents
What's going on in
unfolds
international
before you.
developments? Dude, we could have gotten a reality lowdown, but from the communist point of view as opposed to the ultra-liberal point of view.
This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where
Nice.
most of these countries are.
That is true. That is true. Fair enough.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds
Alright,
before
tell
you.
me about the Kunst and Kultur.
It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. As
Great.
you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS.
I mean, we need to be cultured. Like, we're a police officer. yeah, we do have two conceptualization. We see art in the world. We don't have any drama or rhetoric, so we can't really interact with that art, but we can see it. We can understand that there's art out there.
The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tourney, a critical Mazovian perspective.
All right, tell me about CS.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer.
Hey, fair enough. You know, not all interviewers are great. Who knows? Maybe they were asking insulting questions, provocative questions.
The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing.
I mean, motor carriage racing is pretty cool. Me and Kim, we bonded over that. Let's see what the communists have to say about it.
You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers.
Yeah, and then what? A tirade on motor carriages?
Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tourney.
I mean, I'm sure motor carriages are not cheap and readily available to people, so it's definitely something that the ultra-liberals would have.
Where to even start? For one,
Yeah,
there's the crass
exactly.
commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes.
Wait, we know who wrote this stuff. It's a communist, but let's see what
Oddly
it
enough,
says.
this article has two bylines: Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka.
Man, they went all out in writing some backstory. Okay, what's so bad about the
Under
sponsorships?
capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every
Damn.
pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity.
That's some real talk right there. That is some real frickin' talk, especially in today's gig economy days, where basically everyone is trying to turn their hobby into a way to make money. This one strikes me. This one strikes me right here. Fair enough. Good one. Good one. Touche. Touche.
Thus, the so-called tourney becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritta.
Not a fritta. Can you imagine a fritta sponsoring someone? Oh my god, it'd be the most boring thing ever.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest.
Damn. Alright, anyone who likes car racing, how does this one strike you? I'm not too big of a car racing enthusiast, so I don't feel strongly about this statement at all.
At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real racers that you're really watching for.
I'm pretty sure our character is really in it just for the violence, though. He's all about that pain threshold.
You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tourney is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
I wonder what Kim's gonna say to this. Did you know the Tip Top Tourney is actually an orgiastic ritual of capitalistic destruction? I had no idea.
I can safely say the thought had never crossed my mind, Detective.
I wonder what else is really just a metaphor for life under
I'm
capitalism.
sure most things are, if the young men who wrote this article are to be believed. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
Dude, fair enough. I mean, Kim's right there. He's on the front lines working with his motor carriage every
You
day.
flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Right, let's see what they mean by local concerns.
Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike.
That is very unsurprising.
You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent.
Cape Side Apartments. G. Martin. Wait, is this the person who lives in the tenement that we got this from? That'd be hilarious. I could see that being true. Let's see. Where's our ultra-liberal idea? If it wasn't for Wild Pines, all those moochers would be out of a job. That sounds like something we would say. Give me my 1 real.
According to
There we
these
go.
editorials, private enterprise is simply a means of organizing labor that would already happen. Regardless, it goes on to call the Wild Pines a nightmarish transnational leech sucking the life from the laboring classes of Martinez.
I mean, I don't know how wrong they are. Like, we just woke up in this world. I have no idea whether Wild Pines is actually sucking them dry. I mean, Joyce did just say that she is kind of like some vile person. Even though she's trying to be a little bit, you know, satirical about it, she did believe it a little bit. She did believe that she had sold out her people, her land, her country for money. So
You flip back to the front of the
it's possible this magazine understands a little bit of something. So I don't know what that did, but it did pass some time. We only have 17 more minutes to get to the White Morning. This episode definitely would call it a filler episode. Not a filler episode. We got a lot of useful background about what's going on in the world, how ultra-liberals think, how communists think. We got some interesting ideas, some interesting knowledge about everything, about what's going on here. But, not a lot of exciting things happen. Definitely not what happened in the last episode. If you want to see something exciting, go watch the last episode. If you want to learn more about the world of Disco Elysium and its lore, watch this episode. Why am I saying this at the end of the episode? It doesn't help you. You've already watched it. Unless you skim to the end. Or why would you just skim to the end? Let me know if you just skimmed to the end, so I can understand your thinking, your reasoning. Have we talked to these two dudes yet? We'll do that next time. So yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, if you enjoyed just learning the lore of Disco Elysium, you can subscribe for more Disco Elysium content. And until next time, get yourself a reality lowdown. That's some real talk. Get yourself a reality lowdown. Keep it disco, baby. And remember, as always, to take care of yourself.